Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. I wanted to make this video because I've been kind of struggling with this idea of gear acquisition syndrome. Now, obviously you've seen the title of the video. These are tools that I think every filmmaker, content creator type videographer should have in their arsenal, in their toolkit. Now, these are not the fancy creative sliders and fog machines and all that kind of stuff, even though those definitely have their place in you know, in some people's I guess, you know, on some people's shelves or in some people's gear bags. But one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because these are some of the tools that have helped me to be efficient, to be effective, to make sure that I am doing a great job on set. So by the way, just a quick disclaimer, none of these brands are, I have no affiliation with none of these brands. I bought all these things with my money, and on that topic, most of these things are actually fairly cost effective. Most of them are like under $50 US, but I think they're kind of essential to have. Now, there's probably an exhaustive list of things that I did not add. There's other things I think are essential, but for the sake of time, I don't think I can list every single thing. But these are the first 10. So based off of how well this video does, and if you guys want more, I can also create probably another list of 10 things I think everyone should have. But these are, most of these things, like I said, are under $50, and so they're great having. A lot of them will kind of last throughout your career, and some of these things are like perishable things that are you know, you have to use and repurchase. But let's get started. Before I get started, there is some construction happening like, you know, next door. So if there is too much noise, my apologies. Also, my kids are right outside my office and they're playing. So forgive any noise. I'll try to make it as little, I'll try to, you know, make it as clean as possible. We have such great software now that we can almost eliminate most background noises. But let's get cracking with the first thing. The first tool is a multi-tool, right? Multi-tool, depending on where you are in the world. Now, these are kind of essential because you're gonna always need to adjust and tweak things and kind of play with things when you are, you know, rigging up a camera or fixing something on set. These are great to have, you know, having a cutting tool, having pliers, screwdrivers. These are some of the most effective tools I always have. In fact, I probably have about 3 or 4 of these. You know, I always have one in my camera bag, one in my light bag, and because I don't want to be in a position where I left this. This is one kind of multi-tool. There's also this multi-tool, which is more, I think, more geared towards cameras and rigging up cameras. So it has these Allen keys and, you know, flathead and screwdrivers and this star tool that I've probably never used. But I'm always using this particular multi-tool. So great things to have in your bag. And that takes us to our next thing, extra camera batteries. Now, obviously, you can get away with one battery and V-mounts and all that kind of stuff. Personally, I love to have extra camera batteries, even when I'm rigging up with a V-mount. A pro tip, I would say, is get the ones that have a USB-C input on the battery itself, so you don't have to be worrying about lugging the charger around. So I have a couple of these. Newer makes them, Small Rig makes them. Pretty sure tons of other brands make them, but I've been using Newer and Small Rig for the most part. Another thing, bungle straps, right? These are, I think they have other names, but that's kind of what I've grown to know them as bongo straps. These are very helpful for things like cable management, strapping things to things, right? I usually walk with a bunch of these because I'm always either trying to tie down a cable or keep a cable neat so no one trips over it. And these are like just essential things. I can think of so many other ways. I've been in a scenario where I left my V-mount plate and I kind of had to strap the V-mount battery to the tripod, and this is what I used. So these are great. Another thing that pairs great with that, I think, is gaff tape. So this is number 3, gaff tape. Gaff tapes are, I mean, obviously they come in different sizes and colors. But the black one for sure is a must-have. It's one of the essentials for any first AC or gaffer. They're always walking with gaff tapes. These again are helpful for tying things, fixing things, making sure cables are neat so they're not tripping. People are not tripping over these. The colored ones are great for marking spots for people who need to be walking to a spot so they know where to go. And then having multiple colors in case there are multiple talent, that's great to have. So, and I mean, the use cases for these are pretty endless. You can also use these to separate or to differentiate different lights or different light stands or whatever it is. I use mine because I have a different brand light C stands that don't match together, like you can't interchange the stands with the legs. So I've used these to mark, all right, green goes to green, pink goes to pink, and so on and so forth. That's a very, very essential tool. Next up is an SD card case, right? Obviously, these are one of the essential tools of the trade. You always want to have more than you need. And just because, I mean, we're in an age where cameras have dual SD card slots, and depending on how you use that, maybe you are simultaneously recording to your cards, or maybe you're recording, as you go along. Maybe you have huge SD cards, 1 terabyte SD cards that you don't necessarily need to swap cards depending on what you're shooting with, but having a case for them is important. This one is by JJC. I've had this for over a year. It's pretty robust. It's also weather sealed, so I don't know if you want to drop it in a pool, but it is weather sealed, so it keeps at least rain and dust out. And this has a total of 12 full-size SD card slots, as well as 2 times 12, that's 24 micro SD card slots. So these are great. I'm always keeping my SD cards with me. Now, on the same topic of storage, I think everyone should have an SSD, solid state drive, right? Now, for some people, depending on what cameras you have, this is kind of what you use to record your footage to, right? So you record it directly to an SD card. I would also have a backup. I would have 2, right? Even if you're not using your SD cards to record, I'm always backing up footage to an SD card and on my laptop. If you have like one of those laptops with 4 terabytes or 8 terabyte storage, then great. But you still need some kind of drive to have backups, right? Backups and redundancy is your best of friends. So have an SD card. And another reason why an SD card, sorry, not SD card, a solid state drive versus a hard drive is these are faster, and so in a lot of cases you can edit directly from these. Some hard drives are fast enough to edit from, but these have been definitely more reliable depending on the kind of footage I'm using. Another thing I think everyone should have if you're in the camera world are these friction arms. Now they come in different sizes, right? And tons of different brands make them. Small Rig makes them. Newer makes them. I know Ulanzi makes them. There's quite a bit of brands. Tilta. iFootage, there's tons of them. Now, you can get it with just the quarter, I think it's 1/4" screws, right? So screws on both ends, or a clamp on one end, screw on another end. These come in so handy because I'm always trying to mount lights or mount different things or mount a monitor or mount a set of batteries. These are so useful because you can clamp them onto a light stand, and you can, the possibilities are kind of endless in terms of what you can do. I've been in a situation, by the way, where I brought my tripod, brought my camera, didn't have a camera plate, sorry, a tripod plate, right? Somehow that got left, and I was able to literally just clamp, I used a smaller one, I clamped one end onto the, where the camera would typically go into the tripod, and then I screwed this on the bottom of the camera, tightened it up, and that was my tripod. This held the camera to the tripod, so it worked, right? Now, obviously, there's infinite uses I can think about for using these. I've used them in so many different ways, and I just think for the versatility, these are great to have. So, I think magic arms or friction arms are what you'll find them as, and I will try to link all of these in the description if you guys wanted a quick, easy way to pick those up. Those affiliate links in the description, by the way, will be they're affiliate links, so they will definitely you know, provide some commission to me at no extra cost to you. All right, next up is an RGB light, right? So this one is by Nanlite, and I did mention that most of the things I mentioned today are under $50. Not this one. This one is over $150 if my memory serves correctly. And you know, RGB lights come in many shapes and forms. There are tube lights, there are like flat panel lights that go on a camera, or an actual cob light, or there's so many different ways that, you know, RGB lights are coming in these days. I do like having a tube light because it does offer some level of flexibility, and in a lot of cases they're just like, they're inconspicuous enough that you could have this in frame and it wouldn't be terribly distracting, but it does add color. So let me change the color on this one to kind of match background. What's going on? Blue. All right, so I could probably have that right here, and you know, it's more color and it's not taking away. I'm looking over here because this is where I have my monitor, my wireless monitor. All right, cool. Yeah, so see, that's not terribly distracting. There's smaller tubes. I do have one mounted up here, a smaller one. I'll show you that in a bit. And then, like I said, there's so many different ways that you can find an RGB light. So many different forms that RGB lights will come into. Right. Next thing, which I'm a huge fan of this, is I call it a first AC pouch, even though I'm typically not a first AC. I'm the whole package, right? I'm a first AC, I'm a DP, I'm a gaffer, but I call it a first AC kit pouch. There's actual first AC pouches that you can find on B&H or something like that. This is more of a tactical pouch. I found this on Amazon, and I really like the form factor. It goes around the waist and around the leg, so it kind of straps to my hip, and it's very comfortable. It's out of the way. It doesn't feel like a fanny pack, which I've had a fanny pack and I'm personally just not a fan. This feels cooler, let me say that, right? So this is what I've gone with. Multiple pockets and storage. Typically, I have tools, screwdrivers, like a wrench, cloth to clean your lenses, and I'll typically have the batteries, the extra camera batteries that I mentioned, in the top pouch. I do also have these Allen keys up here because these come in handy when you need a piece of metal rod, a small piece of metal rod to do something, or if you don't have the multi-tool on you, or if it's hard to use that particular thing. Again, I have another multi-tool in the side pocket, and so many different things that I'm usually putting in these pouches. It does also have these things which I use, this is also on the list, a carabiner. These again help to strap things or hook things onto other things. In a lot of cases, what I'm using this for is to get a sandbag onto towards the back of the rod to help counterbalance. Sometimes I'm just using this with something like this, which is like I forgot what these are called. This is one of my honorable mentions. It's not quite on the top 10 list, but I will sometimes use these. These are tension straps, I think. I'll use these to hold on to the back of a stand and then clip it to the leg, or clip it somewhere lower, so it's again providing some counterbalance. And this has been great. I'm also using these to strap if I am mounting a light. I usually like to have something as a safety, so the mount's holding the light, but then I'll have this strapped to something else to add an extra piece of safety. So the carabiners, the AC pouch, great things to have. So I think those were I forgot, I lost track what number I'm on. But looking on the list, I think that is 10 must-haves. Yeah, that's it. So these are 10 tools I love to have. I don't always have every single piece of tool, but I'm usually these things are in my bag, my camera bag, my crates, somewhere in case I need it. Sometimes you don't need it, but when you do need it, they definitely come in handy. So consider getting these. Again, the links are in the description to as many of these as I can find. If you are, by the way, if you've been enjoying the music that I have under the video, these are provided by Audio. Audio is my music provider of choice. I've also added an affiliate link where if you click that link, you will get a discount. I will put the percentage of discount slipped me. So I'll put the percentage of discount on the screen. And Audio has a great list or a great catalog of music and sound effects. I love them, and they're very easy. It's very easy to find songs, especially with their search engine and their AI search engine. So you can literally type in the theme of the video, and it gives you a suggestion of songs that actually would match that vibe and that theme. So it's a great tool, a great platform for finding copyright-free music that you can use for your videos. Anyways, if you like this video and you like this kind of stuff, thumbs up. If you have a list of things that I did not mention, or if there's anything I didn't mention that you think is a must-have that you always have with you, definitely feel free to can't talk. Definitely feel free to drop those in the comments, and I'll definitely engage with those, and we can definitely keep the conversation going there.